So let's now turn our attention to discuss the enabling environment for data-driven governance. And here, let's focus on 4 areas: improving data collection, institutionalizing data governance, increasing public access and trust, and finally, preparing for big data. In terms of improving data collection, we need to focus on 3 things: improving national statistical systems, engendering statistics, and sparing citizen-generated data. There exists a set of recommendations to improve national statistical systems. This is called the Cape Town Global Action Plan for Sustainable Development Data. The Cape Town Global Action Plan is intended to coordinate the many statistical efforts at local, national, and regional levels, as well as leverage and facilitate partnerships for data for the SDGs. There are 6 strategic areas for action in the Cape Town Global Action Plan. The first is to coordinate and provide strategic leadership on data for sustainable development. The second, innovation and modernization of national statistical systems. The third is strengthening basic statistical activities and programs. The fourth is dissemination and use of sustainable development data. Number 5 is multi-stakeholder partnerships for sustainable development data. And number 6, mobilize resources and coordinate efforts for national statistical systems capacity building. We also mentioned that despite efforts at comprehensiveness, there are still areas that needs improvement. And one of them is gender statistics. Gender statistics is defined as the scientific notation and interpretation of statistics that in an adequate and complete way are reflecting the living conditions and situations of women and men with respect to all policy fields and areas. The minimum set of gender indicators is comprised of 5 domains, 11 qualitative indicators, and 52 quantitative indicators. The 5 domains are economic structures, education, health and related services, public life and decision-making, and human rights of women and girl children. In addition to the global minimum set, the UN APCICT in 2015 promulgated a core set of gender indicators for Asia and the Pacific. The core set of gender indicators for the Asia-Pacific adds a 6th domain to the 5 that was previously mentioned, and this is the domain of environment and climate change. The core set also adds supplemental domains, which includes international labor migration, refugees, disaster risk reduction, social protection, peace, and security. The third area of focus in strengthening data collection is spurring citizen-generated data. According to the development initiatives, to truly know if everyone is benefiting from efforts to tackle poverty and build resilience, we must focus our attention as locally as we can, right down to the individual person. We already mentioned Ushahidi, Haiti, and the sexual harassment map of Cairo as instances of citizen-generated data. So what then is the role of government in spurring the creation of more citizen-generated data? The first role is to recognize that citizen-generated data can play a different and complementary role to public sector data. The second is for government to investigate funding and sustainability models for citizen-generated data. Third is support consultation and participation processes to enable citizen and civil society input regarding institutional data collection. Fourth is to support further research and the development of resources. Let's now turn to data governance. As we said, data governance is a quality control discipline for adding new rigor and discipline to the process of managing, using, improving, and protecting organizational information. What do we need to do in order to institutionalize data government? The first is we have to provide a charter. We have to identify the drivers, mission, vision, and principles for data governance. This includes readiness assessment, internal process discovery, and current issues and success criteria. The second thing that we have to do is we have to provide an operating framework and accountabilities. We have to define structure and responsibilities for data governance activities. Number 3 is to implement the roadmap. We have to have a time frame for the rollout of policies and directives, create business glossaries, architecture, asset valuation standards, and procedures. The fourth is to plan for operational success, which means describing a target state of sustainable data governance activities. We also have to improve public access and trust in data. One of the measures that we could take is adopt an open data policy. Open data means data produced or commissioned by government, which can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone. It is both a philosophy and a set of policies that promotes transparency, accountability, and value creation by making all government data available to all. The most interesting guideline that I have seen in terms of implementing an open data policy is that was provided by Sunlight Foundation. And here they make recommendations in 3 areas: what data should be public, how to make data public, and how to implement policy. Institutionalizing an open data policy means more than creating an open data portal. And I would suggest that you look at Sunlight Foundation's guideline for an open data policy in order to make sure that the policy is properly implemented. The second area in improving access and trust relates to data privacy. Data, or informational privacy, means the individual's right to determine whether, when, how, and to whom his or her personal information is to be revealed. Data privacy takes on an important role in the age of the data revolution and in a world awash with data, because now data is being used to surveil us. And we in fact have a new word for it called data valence. It's a portmanteau of data and surveillance, which means the practicing of monitoring and collecting online data as well as metadata. So data valence describes the shift from physical and electronic surveillance of individuals to surveillance of people's behavior through the increasingly intensive data trails that our behaviors are generating. Traditionally, strengthening data privacy means legislating data privacy laws. And the most influential set of principles of data protection comes from the OECD Data Protection Principles that was issued in the 1980s. So the principles include collection limitation, data quality, purpose specification, use limitation, security safeguard, openness principle, individual participation, and accountability. APEC also issued the Information Privacy Principles in 2005, and it closely tracks the OECD Data Protection Principles. APEC's Information Privacy Principles include preventing harm, notice, collection limitations, uses of personal information, choice, integrity of personal information, security safeguards, access and correction, and accountability. The fourth area is preparing for big data. As we've already discussed, big data has the potential to create large-scale social and economic benefits for its constituents in the way that governments both deliver services and interact with citizens. There are three areas to address if we're interested in using big data for governance. The first is providing leadership. The second is enhancing trust. And the third is developing or acquiring the necessary skills. It is argued that without strong and competent leadership and controls, citizens will be victimized rather than benefited by data, analytics, algorithms, and digital. Second, earning trust means giving citizens confidence that their data is used appropriately and effectively, and that it is secure, particularly when it's being shared by different government agencies. Building capacity means growing the specialist data science community in the civil service, as well as enhancing the capacity of the civil service in data analysis.